Be able to record.
I'm recording. I'm recording.
You're recording now, yeah?
Yeah, it says record to the cloud. I've pressed it.
Okay, it's recording. Perfect. Happy with that. Great stuff.
Is that me classed as a technical expert now?
Yeah, that's it. It's
yes. Good. There we go.
How good's that?
So where is everyone else? Are they not on the screen?
Yeah, there's a box for Andrew Steele, but there's no person. Neil and Paul, there's nobody on the screen.
Four people.
Yeah, you have to admit.
You have to admit them.
Admit them, yeah.
Yeah, well, I admit it. Let's have a look. Why isn't it not letting me do anything? So participants, there we go. So Neil, admit. Paul, admit. There we go. I've admitted all now.
Happy with
all
that.
Three.
I still can't see them though. Are they remaining anonymous?
They're probably in the background.
Yeah, because obviously they've got the option to put their video on, haven't they? So
yeah.
So we're just waiting for everyone to come on now.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just trying to think of a really good joke just to. Right, let me think. Who knows a good joke? Let's think. Oh God. Normally I can have a joke. My kids are amazing. James, right, we've got James Hollands I've joined.
Yeah, here he is.
Oh, we've got somebody on the screen. There's Paul. Hi, hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Paul, all right?
Yeah,
yeah. Can hear you.
Good, thanks.
Oh, good. Looks very dark in your room, Paul. Are you saving on the electricity?
I've been defined to the bedroom because the two tellies are on downstairs, you see.
Awesome.
Right. Okay. Good stuff. Right, so we've got a few more to come on, haven't we? What time are we on now? 7:03.
7:03, yeah.
Paul, Peter, cheers. Here's another one admitted.
Here's one for you, Gail.
Yep.
What's the best thing about Switzerland?
What?
I don't know, but the flag is a big plus.
Oh no. Oh no. Right, okay. Let's beat that one now, haven't I?
Right, I'm going.
Get your coat.
You've got two people from Wigan there, Gail.
Oh, that's where it is.
I'm just trying to think. Oh, here we go. Mike McHugh, admit you.
Two people from Wigan. So why are they called Wigan pie eaters?
Good one.
I don't know.
There's a pie shop on every corner in Wigan.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Go and get some headphones.
Oh,
Right.
loads of jokes.
I'm going to mute myself.
I think Mike's on as well. Mike McHugh.
Yeah, Mike McHugh. I've just admitted him.
Huh?
Admitted him. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? Admitted.
What? I'm going in the snook.
God, I'm really trying to think of a joke now. See, if I'd have had a glass of wine, I'd have been firing the jokes out.
What does a gay horse eat?
What
does a gay horse eat?
Hey! Hey! Oh, I've heard that one. Oh, that was boring. Paul.
Awesome.
Sorry. That was even worse than Airdie's.
We got to start somewhere.
Hello.
Exactly.
Here he is.
You're awake.
Mike, all right?
On the screen? Yeah, how are we doing? All right.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Excellent.
Hi.
Just put myself on mute, Gail.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought he was going to get your guitar then, Iain.
No, everyone keeps asking. I keep going on like Zoom calls and podcasts and stuff, and people call me out and go, "Get it out and play it," and I'm like,
"Yeah, do it. You've got it there." So we need an intro song. We need an intro song, don't we? There we go. You play it. I'll sing it. There we go. Yeah. It's probably. Well, I'll probably not sing. Won't get anybody else on ever. So everybody okay?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
All good?
Good.
Bit tired after today, like.
You was a trooper. Very, very good work.
Eat.
Yes. It was amazing. So all the young army people as well, they were good too. Right, is there a few more coming or can we start yet? Time's it? Late?
Let's crack on.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah, should we just crack on?
Is there any way you can view everyone on the screen? Because at the moment, mine's just flicking. It's flicking from person to person.
Yeah,
I
there is
can't hear
Paul.
you, Adrian. You're on mute, mate.
There is Paul. Yeah, there's a button.
There we go. How's
You were
that?
talking then, mate. And
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Yeah.
Say
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, if you just enlarge the screen, it should basically get everybody in.
I've done it.
There we go. You can get participants. Yeah, there we go. Sarah's just joined. Hello,
just joined.
Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Yep, again. Some people are choosing not to, yeah. Chat, there you go. Participants.
It's because
Right.
Neil's in the bath. That's why he's not putting his picture on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it sometimes it does that, you know, with the videos and things like that. So don't worry too much. They can hear you. That's the main
Yeah,
thing.
let's-
There she is. Hello.
I know, I can't see.
You're on mute, Sarah.
You can ask Neil what his nickname is in the Navy.
What's Neil's nickname?
There we go.
Horsecock.
In the room.
Hello. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
Did you hear me, AD?
I certainly do, my love.
Nobody else did.
Oh,
I heard you.
I didn't. What's your nickname, Neil?
No, I can't now.
Why? Shetland pony.
Shetland pony. Awesome.
I can only imagine.
I'll tell you, Gail.
Okay, right. So shall we start?
Whenever you're ready, go. You take the floor.
Okay. Well, welcome to our Green TV show. So thank you for tuning in. It's Wednesday evening and we're going to be doing this each week. Today we have Iain Griffiths, who's going to talk about his transitioning from the ex-military services to setting up business, and we're going to talk about the challenges and the pitfalls, and well, I'll let Iain tell you the rest of the story. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them, and if you want to interact also. So take it away, Iain.
So yeah, where do you want me to start? When I started the Royal Navy, when I started
Yeah.
in the Navy, yeah. So
If
yeah,
you tell us a bit
Yeah.
background of, yes, your military background.
Yeah, so I joined the Royal Navy in 2002 at the age of 19 as an operator mechanic, which is, you know, people who are in the Navy know it as a dabber. I served 5 years until 2007. I went on three different ships. So I started on the Invincible, went on to HMS Liverpool, which is my hometown ship. And then I finished off service on the Ark Royal. I left in 2007, and because it was the minimum amount of time that you could do in the service, I didn't qualify for any resettlement, as it were, back then, ELCs or anything like that. I went on a couple of little free courses, but there wasn't really, you know, you've got to do about 6 years or something like that to qualify for the ELCs, I believe, and I'd only done like 5 years and 4 months or something daft like that.
Right, so how come you left early? Was there any particular reason for that?
Oh, so yeah, I was I missed the birth of my first son.
Right.
Being on a Falklands trip, and it just sort of left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. They wouldn't let me fly back or anything like that to see it. So
Right.
I don't know. It was just I was a young man as well, so I had a bit of a bee in my bonnet over it, and I was missing home and stuff like that. I'd had a child born, so I just thought, now's the time to leave, and that's the reason that I left.
Yeah, life, which is understandable. It's life choice, isn't it? So what did you follow on? How did you?
So I found my transition from the Royal Navy to civilian life particularly difficult. I thought that as I was a young man, I think I was only sort of 24 at the time, kind of thought that I knew it all, thought that the world owed me a career because I'd been into the military. And when I got sort of spat out of the military back into civilian life, I had a massive shock when I got outside and found that civvies don't care whether you've been in the military or not, and some of them think you're a bit of a hindrance when you go and work with them, because why should you be on the same money as them when you're not at the same level as them, if that makes sense? And they're always telling you what, teaching you what to do, and you're always asking questions: how do we do this, how do we do that? You're a bit of a hindrance to them.
So you don't get the support that you'd kind of imagined, or I suppose that you felt that you'd earned being, serving in the forces.
No, I personally think, I left with no job, and within a couple of months I got a job in Tesco, and nothing against people who work in Tesco. It just wasn't what I sort of seen myself doing at the age of 24. Do you know what I mean? After I'd been in the military. A couple of months earlier, I was doing sort of sea trials on the Ark Royal because it had come out of refit, and then the next minute I'm order picking Easter eggs in Tesco. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like a bit of a culture shock, to be honest with you. It took me about 4 years after that to get up to a level. Like, I luckily got a job in auto trade. I had a bit of luck along the way. When I went for my interview, my mum's next door neighbour was the woman doing the interview, and ultimately that got me the job. Started on customer services on a 3-month temporary contract, and within 3 years I was an area sales manager in charge of £10 million worth of accounts. So they'd seen something in me and sort of let me go and move up the ladder pretty quickly. So that was quite lucky.
Yeah. So did that give you a bit of confidence? Did that spur you on? Or was it a case of you just went through the motions until you had that epiphany moment?
Yeah. I mean, working in Tesco and things like that was just sort of, I don't know. After that, I went to work up for the job centre on the job, doing job searches for people on the job centre line. So that wasn't sort of a great sort of job, and it wasn't very well paid. But what happened then was, because I was working for the job centre, any of the new jobs that came into the pot, I had the first look at, and that's where the auto trader job came in. So I'm a big believer in sometimes things happen for a reason, and that sequence of events happened and ultimately sort of got me my job in auto trade, and that's where I learned all the skills to then take into starting up my own businesses.
You was quite proactive as well. Obviously, you didn't accept working in Tesco's. It's a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. You kind of wanted a bit more. You actually proactively went searching for other work.
Yeah. And I mean, sort of as well, like, I think you've got to sort of, nobody's got, that's one of my, brings me on to that. Like, I've got 3 bits of advice for anyone doing resettlement. And one of them is, take charge of it yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. Do you know what I mean? You've got to you've got to make your plan yourself. Don't listen to Nigel down the naffy or whoever's giving you advice or saying you should go for this job. Get your plan together yourself and do it yourself, because that's the only way you're going to make it a success.
Yeah, and there's lots of resources out there, and there's a lot of people out there, and people like myself you can reach out that can guide you on your path in that sense.
Yeah, and then you've got the likes of this. I don't know if you guys know who the Forces Transition Group are, but they're run by a guy called John Stevenson on LinkedIn, who's a very good friend of mine, and I'm one of the mentors for those guys, and I get invited to a lot of resettlement events as guest speakers, doing similar sort of stuff as what I'm doing now, just going getting the message out to people. And those guys do sort of free CV workshops and stuff like that. So there are people out there like yourself, Gail. There's lots of different people
can
that
help.
can help you. Yeah, and you know, and get, you know, LinkedIn's a free tool. You can get yourself a profile set up on there. Get on there and get active, because if you don't, somebody else is going to fill that role before you, because, you know, you're not getting your sort of, if you get your profile all set up with the keywords and everything else. The lady who I was speaking to at Amazon was telling me that Amazon proactively look on LinkedIn for keyword searches so they can headhunt people. So if you've not got your LinkedIn profile up to scratch and you're not on there active, then you're not going to have the chance of that happening to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really good advice. So obviously people listening, and the message out there to people is, you know, be proactive and also to be accountable for yourself. I massively agree with that. It's no good blaming, or it's everybody else's, or in life everybody owes you a favour, everybody owes you. It's about being accountable for yourself. So that's really good advice.
You know, I'm always on LinkedIn, so if anyone wants to add me on LinkedIn, I'll even throw my you know, my LinkedIn profile in the comments, or you can get it off Abe. Add me, and if you want me to have a look at your profile, I'll do it for you once you've set it up and give you a few pointers, or, you know, tell you if it's all right or whatever. Give you a bit of feedback on it, just to get you set up and get you flying on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me as a recruiter, that's the first thing I look at, and with my videos I've been doing online, it's one of the first things I've mentioned is profiling. You know, get it up to date, get it looking professional, set your image how you want it to be set.
Well, you need a nice photograph on there. You know, we're all proud of our military service, but if you're sat with a headshot with your beret on and some sort of, you know, camo painted on your face, people aren't going to sort of choose you for a job. You know, get a nice professional photo on there, nice write-up, nice headline, and you'll be all right, I think.
I mean, it must be hard. You've touched on saying transitioning from obviously the military life into civilian life, and this has come across a lot, and the work I've been doing with the veterans, it comes across many times. So what would you say in terms of trying to, obviously doing it yourself, transitioning into civilian life, you know, working with peers and working in different environments and groups, because obviously it's a very different lifestyle, it's a very different story.
You know, I made a massive mistake. I thought I was Billy Big Bollocks, and I wasn't. And that was the worst mistake I could have made. You know, don't think that you're owed a career, because you're not. I've got to be blunt about it. If you're running your 22 and you're at 21 or you're at 20 and you're putting your notice in and you know it's coming 3 years before, make your plan. Get a plan together and have contingency. So you can say, well, if this doesn't happen, I want to be a project manager on a construction site, right? A recession hits, they stop building houses, right? I'm going to go and be a project manager in cyber security. Have a plan B and just work your way towards that end goal, and you know, make little goals along the way. Don't just make a big massive hairy goal and work your way towards that, because it'll seem like it'll overface you. It'll be like piling a big Christmas dinner in front of you. Just, you know, sort of make
I love a Christmas dinner.
Yeah, like a big piled up Christmas dinner, it'll overface you.
Massive Yorkshires.
If you make a big massive goal, then that'll overface you. Make little goals that are achievable within the next week or two. Tick that one off the list. The great thing about when you make a goal and achieve it is you can make some new ones. So
I'm totally on the same page there. I've been spouting that out on my various social media channels, and it's one little goal each week. You achieve it, and it's about motivation. It's about the mindset, and like you say, it's about setting the realistic. And
when you achieve a goal as well, you feel good about yourself, so that'll build that confidence. So when you are going for these big interviews, you can look back and think, well, actually, I've achieved X, Y, and Z. I know this, and I can crack on with it, and I've got a good confidence in myself that I'm going to sort of get this interview and get through it and get the job. But the other thing that I would say as well is, and I've only learned this off other people from, you know, I do a lot of work with resettlement. I've got a Facebook group and everything else, is choose something that you you're 100% sure that you're going to be happy doing for a prolonged period of time. Because if you went in like me at 19 and you did 22 years, you're still a relatively young man when you come out. You're only in your early 40s. You know, you've still got another career left to do. So, you know,
it's a long time.
Choose something that's going to be right for you, right for your lifestyle. So it's no good if you want to play golf every weekend, buying a marquee hire franchise off me, because you're probably going to be working of the weekends, putting marquees up and taking them down. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to sort of have a look at how it's going to fit into your lifestyle as well. Because if you've been to sea or been on deployment or been in wherever you've been all over the world, and you're fed up of that and you want to have a bit of time at home, you might hate your missus, so you might want to sort of, or your husband, so you might want to work weekends, you know what I mean?
Well, I hope not. That's a whole different channel, that, isn't it? That's a whole, we're not doing marriage counselling. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and no, it's funny. And I've also picked up as well, talking to you, Iain, that it's about reaching out. I think a lot of ex-veterans, they kind of, you know, they're males, females, that I'm generalising here, you know, that they're the hard breed and they're used to, you know, tackling things and dealing with things. And I think a lot of them struggle with their mental health because they simply go in themselves. They don't reach out. There might be a little bit of self-worth issues in you know, because it is a very different environment. So what would be your advice to, you know, to people reaching out if they're a bit scared to?
There's loads of sort of different things that you can do. I mean, everyone who's on here now, if you're going through resettlement or you're leaving, you're welcome to join my free Facebook group. AD's in there. Gail, you can come in as well.
Yeah,
in the Facebook group, there's about 7,000 people in there, and it's called the British Armed Forces Resettlement Community. Now, there's no selling in there really. The only thing that gets sold in there are courses which you can sell your, buy with your ELCs, which are, they're going to help you anyway. But jobs, there's a jobs board in there. But the best thing about that group is if you've got a question about anything to do with your pension, employment, interview advice, anything else, you can write a post in there, and I bet you within an hour you'll have 20 or 30 comments on there giving you free advice off people who have already been in your shoes. So join things like that. I'm not saying just come in my Facebook group, but there's lots of other different sort of things available to you. If you had the right sort of people on LinkedIn as well, you could write a post and people will help you out. One of my friends is an ex-RSM in the signals, and when he came out, he found it so difficult because he was used to the one giving orders out all the time.
Right, being in charge.
And then when he had to go into somewhere, I think he got a job somewhere like Screwfix or somewhere, and he found it difficult to be the one taking the orders. Do you know what I mean? So there's that to maybe contend with as well. I don't know. I wasn't at the dizzy heights of giving orders out, so I was getting slapped about in the Navy and getting slapped about in Tesco. So,
but you got discount on your shopping, so it's not all bad. Yeah, it is, and it must be hard for forces people to come out and do something different. And I keep banging on about it, but it is about reaching out and there's so many channels out there. And
there was another guy I was speaking to the other day, Ross Airy, his name is. He's just got a job in Amazon about 6 months ago, and he went in the RAF at the age of 16 and did 23 years. So he knew nothing else after school. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So what he was saying to me, like when he came out, he was so anxious about it because he'd been in that safety net of. And also
it's
as well,
a way of life, isn't it? It's a way of life.
I think Amy touched on it prior to the recording that when you come out, you're so used to the camaraderie of the people around you. I used to sleep in a mess deck of 50 other blokes on HMS Liverpool. You're in that close proximity of people all the time, and then when you come out, you're just like, that's gone. Do you know what I mean? And
so you'll feel a bit lost.
Yeah, and also as well in the military, you have your own language as well. So you could talk in military talk to a civilian, and you may as well be talking to them in Chinese or French or something. Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't understand you. So that's another sort of point, that when you are leaving, have a look at your CV, and you're going to have all these points. I don't know, whatever you've done in the in your military career. If you're a radar operative, you might have all these different qualifications, but it's about how you translate those qualifications so a civilian will understand them. Do you know what I mean? So if you start talking to a civilian about a 1022 radar, they're going to not know what you're on about. But if you say that you were, I don't know, you could say that you were an engineer in some, and change it into that language, they'll understand it a bit more.
Yeah, and I also as well, I mean, I touched on that today with the planting the trees of the Green Task Force. There is that camaraderie and the banter.
Yeah.
Which,
Why was the loads of it? Yeah.
Yes, it is loads of bands. Yeah, it is really, really, it's good, and and it's about embracing that, and work-wise, and people I'm working with now and companies are really recognising the values of veterans and working with them. So it's just a case of helping them and getting them to transition, obviously, into the world of work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, yeah, it is such a difficult time in anyone's life when they're leaving it. It is. There's no getting away from it. But like I say, you've just got to start that plan really, really early and execute it. Because what I've noticed from people as well is a year is quite a long period of time. But in the grand scheme of things, like one of my other friends, Jack Hughes, when he did his resettlement, he was at sea for most of his year that he was running. So what are you meant to do when you're in the middle of the ocean with limited internet access? A satellite phone for 10 minutes every week or whatever it is. And his resettlement was sort of like really hindered because of that. So, you might get sent on an exercise, or do you know what I mean? That time within that year, you're not going to spend the whole of it planning your resettlement. Only sort of parts of it you may be. It depends what your sort of your divisional officer or whatever they're called in the army or the RF. I don't know. Is it a CO or something like that? Depends how sound they are. If you've got an absolute arsehole above you and they don't like you, you're going to struggle as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the resettlement that you've set up, Iain, with obviously this Facebook group, which I will join. I'm very interested to see what that's all about.
Yeah.
So how are you helping veterans?
Right, I did not plan to get into resettlement. Right, in January of this year, I was just fed up of seeing people getting a bum deal, and what's it called? Armed Forces stigma or something like that. I've seen a post about. So I swore in a post on LinkedIn, and it went viral. I think it had like 4,000 likes or something, like loads of comments, thousands and thousands of comments. Right. And I set up the Facebook group and put a link in the comments to it. And within a week, there was like 5,500 people in the group. And I was like, right, what do I do now with this group? Like, I've got this group of people. So I had to I even got on Photoshop and just made a crappy little banner for it and put it on. I've had a new one designed, by the way. Now it's looking pretty snazzy. I actually paid for with my own money to get it done. And then I just sort of I don't even have to do anything in there. I don't really have to post or anything. It's pretty much self-managed. I have to boot the odd idiot out of there, who just sort of, if they're sort of trolling people or whatever, but that's very few and far between. So the group's pretty much self-managed. And then I thought to myself, what else could I do? So I set up the podcast, so it goes hand in hand. So the Facebook group is called British Armed Forces Resettlement Community, and the podcast is called Armed Forces Resettlement in Conversation. So basically what I do is I've got LinkedIn Live as well on my LinkedIn. So I stream the podcast into LinkedIn and into the Facebook group once a week. Perfect. And then I put them all on the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and then they're
that's
there for
great.
reference. They're there for people to reference then. So, you know, if you want if you want a job in Amazon, and I've had Amazon on, you can just go and watch that video back and get all the tips of the lady off Amazon came on and told us all about it. So yeah.
So it just provides that support. Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then I get invited to resettlement events as well. And, you know, I do try and go to as many as I can, but sometimes they're in miles away. Do you know what I mean? And I will go to them, but one time he said, oh, it's not that far, it's in Wiltshire. So I set off and it was like 5 hours there and 5 hours back. So yeah, try. If they're in Derby or somewhere nice and close, then that's much better. Unfortunately, there aren't any in Warrington. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask some of our listeners now if anybody's got any questions they'd like to ask Iain. I don't know if we can open the forum up. If people don't want to speak, then
all
that's
right, okay,
fine.
yeah. So somebody's asked about the business. Yeah, I haven't touched on that. How did you get into the biz you're in? Right. Okay. So, bit of a weird one. I tried to hire a marquee. So I do marquee hire. That's what my business is. I've been doing marquee hire for 10 years nearly now, and it's been a franchise for about a year. And we've just got like Newcastle upon Tyne and Oxford opening in the next sort of 6 months or something like that. And we've got a few more on the boil as well. So we're going to be going UK wide with it. But so basically what happened when I was working for Auto Trader, I tried to hire a marquee for a party in my garden. And I was just getting like crazy quotes, like £3,000, £4,000. I'm like, hang on a minute, I only need it for like 25 people. And, you know, do you know what I mean? It was really, so I sort of thought, I'm going to have a look and see if there's a solution out there. Well, I'd already done it because I'd rang everyone. I'd done the market research by ringing everyone and getting the quotes. So I started to think, is there a solution that people could have in the gardens as a garden party that's not that expensive and you can do more of them to make the same amount of money in a week, if that makes sense? So I did. I bought a marquee, put it in my shed, got my logo designed, put it on yellow pages, and the next day the phone rang. And I still had the first marquee in the box. I hadn't practiced. She wanted me to go and put it up in the garden. And then she rang me about an hour before and went, oh, I've got to go out. Can you just let yourself in and put it up? And I was like, yeah, nice one. Because I hadn't even practiced with this marquee or anything. It was just an absolute
winging it.
It was like, honestly, it was like Laurel and Hardy. I took my wife with me. We were arguing over the instructions in the back garden. And then, so like,
the worst combo ever, isn't it?
Yeah. So that happened. And then, so I was using my company car at the time with putting seats down to go and put this marquee up in people's gardens every week. And they then Auto Trader just made me a sales manager a year before and then said, right, we're getting rid of 11 managers and your job's on the line. I was like, oh God. But then they said we're giving enhanced redundancy package out. So it came out with about, I think it was somewhere between 15, 17 grand, something like that. And I gambled with the money, you know, just bought more equipment,
invested. It's investment.
Yeah. And then, so here I am like 9 years later with, you know, and I've probably done about maybe 3,000 marquee hires since then.
That's great.
So,
is COVID affecting you at all?
Sorry.
Is COVID affecting you at the moment?
So after the first lockdown, we, obviously the first lockdown was just the first lockdown that we couldn't do nothing. So I just cleaned marquees in the sunshine just to keep myself busy. But we got grants, we've applied, back loans, stuff like that. As soon as the first lockdown finished, because we're a garden party marquee hire company, I couldn't work another hour in the day. I was just putting tents up, taking them down, putting them up. So we had a really good run in the summer. And then as soon as that Rule 6 came in, that's when it sort of hit us again. So I've been doing the odd one for people who just don't care. Do you know what I mean? They're just not arsed. Like, and so like I went to Norris Green. I don't know whether you've heard of that place in Liverpool. Yeah. And I said to her, "Are you not bothered about the restrictions?" And she went, "Don't worry about it. There's no grasses around here."
Grasses.
So
Right.
anyway, yeah. So I've been
Aw.
doing the odd one, but we've got bills to pay and everything else. So yeah, I've got a few in for Christmas Day, but now the vaccine's been sort of
Right.
announced and stuff like that. I'm expecting in spring.
Yeah, it'll pick
I'm
up.
very, very
Yeah.
busy. So yeah.
Do you do weddings as well?
So we
Or
do
is it just
weddings and stuff like that, yeah. And also I had about 60 odd jobs, can't remember however, it was 60 odd in the diary for this year. And none of them asked for the deposit back. They just said we're going to postpone till next year.
Yeah,
So they're already in the
You're going to be
diary.
busy.
So it's not all doom and gloom. It's just a case, because I'm doing the franchise now. There's always stuff to do with that because you've got to write loads of documents and do videos, explanation, how to explain how to run a marquee hire company. So that's what I'm doing at the moment each day.
So keeping busy.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, so whoever asked that question, thank you very much. It doesn't say on the screen.
Right, there's another one here. Do you feel any benefits of working outdoors? Right, yes. So working outdoors is definitely for me. That in my eyes, and I might be a bit biased because I run a marquee hire company. There's nothing better than having your radio on with a couple of lads who you get on with, putting marquees up in the sunshine with your shorts on in the summer. It is hard work, but there's nothing better than being outside in nature, a bit of sun on your face, bit of vitamin D. So yeah, I do like that. Ask me on Christmas Eve when I'm putting marquees up, I'll probably hate it. It's just sort of the rough with the smooth with working outside. And sure, Andy will tell you that when you're planting trees.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can say that obviously I've been out planting trees today and talking to the veterans. I mean, I've done a little video that I'll post out, speaking to one of the guys today. And, not only, like you say, the camaraderie, guys working together and people rallying around, really working hard. I mean, it's tough, it's hard work. I'm shattered. But the rewards, everybody came away really on a high. Everybody was really buzzing and the work was really worthwhile. And so working outside, the benefits.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about you, Gail. Have you got an office? Do you work indoors a lot in the office when you're doing recruiting and stuff like that?
I can be out and about. COVID, obviously, I've just adapted, but ordinarily I would be travelling around meeting candidates, meeting clients. It sounds really very glamorous, but it's very long days and busy.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's just technology's just taken over. So Zoom in. So I am a little bit caged in the fact that I'm stuck on my phone and my computer, which is why I jumped at the chance to go out and plant trees with a green task force.
I don't know about you, but whenever I'm in an office now, I've been in here since God knows what time this morning. I went for a run, so I've been here since 10 this morning.
It drains you. It does drain you.
Yeah, it's so sort of. I've even go talking to the receptionist for like an hour just to sort of get out of here. But so yeah, the benefits of working outdoors are sort of massive, I think. So another question is, any advice for people who might be struggling to get into biz? Well, I don't know whatever. When you're starting in business, it's never ever easy. I mean, a franchise model is a good sort of way to go if you want to get into business but want the safety net of a tried and tested model. It is pretty risky starting a business from scratch. I've started the party tent company. I was pretty lucky because that was a success. My first business was a success. The public took to it. The brand was really strong and it's done really, really well. I've tried to start 3 other businesses in the meantime and they've all failed. So sometimes it's just the luck of the draw with starting a business because, it just depends whether it sort of works with the public, if the offering's right and stuff like that. So any advice, the best advice I would do is if you're starting out in business is start it as a side smash do it as a side hustle first and test the water with it. And then you get to a point, I used to do it because I work in sales at the same time. You get to the point where, my hand was pretty much forced because I was offered redundancy. I could have kept and fought for my job, but I didn't need to. You get to the point where you think, right, I'm going to have to give work up and crack on with this, or do you know what I mean? It hits that point where you've got to make that decision. Quite a nice decision to have. make sure that you write a business plan. I mean, when I did my
I was
business
just
plan,
gonna say that was my tip, is a good strong business plan.
well, when I was writing my business plan, this lady from John Moores University in Liverpool sort of helped me with it. Her name's Gillian Hunt, her name is. And she said to me, right, okay, so you've got two options. And I was like, right, what are they? And she went, right, it's going to be a bit more expensive if we rent a room somewhere in Liverpool to do it, like, in a rented office space or whatever. Or we can meet in the Philharmonic pub, which is like a dingy old pub near the university, and we can write it there. So we sat in this sort of smoky corner of the Philharmonic pub, and we wrote the business plan every Thursday, because that was the cheaper option to do. And doing the business plan makes you realize all avenues to do with your business. So you check out your marketing, you check out your competition, do all your market research, you check your offering, you do your figures, your projections and stuff like that. And that's only then will you realize whether the business is worth doing or not.
And it's about having the passion for it as well, and it's about having the dedication.
I mean, but again, starting any business, whether you do a startup or you buy a franchise off someone like me or whoever, even if you buy one off McDonald's, anyone who you buy a business off or startup, the first few years, be prepared to not have much time to yourself, because you have to put that much effort into it. It's just sort of, it's either all or nothing. If you're not willing to put all your time and effort into it, don't bother, because
I agree.
It won't work. So yeah, that's it.
That was a good question. Thank you very much.
That was a brilliant question. Yeah. So what's my biggest direction? Someone has asked. Meaning marquee. So yeah, that is.
There's no comment there. There's no comment. I'm no comment.
No, Gail, no.
We'll
so yeah, the biggest marquee that I've got is a 9 by 21 meter marquee, which you can see probably about 170 in that. The smallest marquee that I've got is a 4 by 6 meter, which is for 24 people. So we do small to medium size events. So that answers that question. What skills you learned in the RM in the Royal Navy have you found most useful? So
that's a good question, whoever that was.
Well, it won't just be from the Royal Navy, it'll be from every service. It's universal for every service now. So when you do your basic training, you're taught how to, iron your clothes into A4. You're sort of taught discipline. You're
Structure,
taught to,
isn't it? Structure.
Be on time for things. You're taught to be there 5 minutes before. All that sort of stuff that's drilled into you. Always look smart when you're turning up somewhere. So, whenever I'm going knocking on someone's door with a tape measure to go measure up for a marquee, make sure that I look presentable and I'm there on time. And if I'm going to be late for any reason, stuck in traffic, even if it's 1 minute late, I will ring them and tell them that I'm going to be late, because people respect that. If you just rock up to someone's house, like sort of 10 minutes after you're meant to be there, you've already made yourself look sort of.
Yeah, you've already pissed them off.
Maybe, haven't you? Yeah, the word. So yeah, all of those skills, turning up to places, just the discipline that you learn, the discipline. People in the armed forces have got these skills, and that not a lot of of civilian people have got those skills, because they haven't been on a warship, they haven't been on an exercise, they haven't had to look out for people in the way that we have. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, those are the skills. I truly, honestly don't believe I would be running a business if I hadn't been in the armed forces, and that is the truth. That
I think as well, there's respect. It's
absolutely,
I think the servicemen, men and women, are taught the respect, and that carries on into every avenue of their lives.
Yeah, well, we all know in the armed forces, we all know how to party hard. We all know when to but we all know when to rein it in, and we all know when to work hard as well. That's what we've all got. We all know, if we're going out on the lash and we've got weekenders or whatever it is, we can go and get smashed for the whole weekend, and that's absolutely fine. But on Monday morning, you turn to with your very badge sort of polished, or your shoes, everything's sit top, and you're on parade or whatever it's called. And so yeah, those right. So I've got another one from Paul. So what advertising tools work for my business? So I use social media, and it works very, very well for me. And the reason is that my business is a social business, which means that by saying that, I mean that, you know, if somebody has a party in one of my marquees, the first thing they do these days is put it on Instagram, tag me in it. And then the next minute is somebody's messaging me saying, oh, you've done such and such a job for Diana or whoever it is, can you do the same for us? So it works very, very well for me, social media. I have done Google AdWords in the past, it's been all right, but they're very, very expensive, and you can waste a lot of money on Google AdWords. But if it depends what business you're going to do when you're sort of choosing your advertising avenues. So now all of my franchise inquiries basically come off LinkedIn, because that's where people are looking to buy businesses or get a job or anything like that. I've got an Instagram account for my franchise business, but it's pretty pointless. It's obsolete. There's no point in posting on there really, because, you know, but then with social media, what you've got to look at is, my daughter said that Facebook, it proper shocked me the other day, Facebook is for old people. I'm like, wow, wait a minute. Yeah, so like, but you do find that the older generation of people use Facebook more, and then the youngsters are on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And then there's like a crossover in the middle. So you've got to sort of have a look at what your demographics of your audience, of who you're trying to, you know, attack, and find out where they are and attack them on that platform. So the thing is with advertising tools, it's just different horses for different courses, really.
I would support that. LinkedIn's been a massive tool for me in business, because it is business, and it's, you know, it's a way of getting connections with business people and clients. I've done all my business, and you know, and I would also add to whoever's asked that question is do video marketing. It's a massive tool, and people buy from people. And if you are a selling business, then use yourself, because you know, that's what people buy into. So if you can, and you have facility to do it, video marketing it's been a massive key, especially for me this year. It's kept me in the loop with everybody throughout COVID. It's been really, really good. So if you can do it, and if you, I don't know, invest in a marketing company to do it for you, then that is a really good way.
I'd maybe start off, try and do it yourself, and watch a few YouTube videos and stuff like that. I mean, when you're setting your social media platforms up, it's all about having, you know, have a decent logo. Do you know what I mean? Get your logo bob on, because that's going to be your brand. That's the start of your branding, isn't it? So you've got to get that right. Make sure that you're not just putting shoddy pictures up. There's an app called Canva, which is like Canva's really good, and it's cheap. I think it's about a tenner a month or something, and I use it for all my. Oh, that's a good one, Paul. Yeah, I like that one, mate. Yeah. So the the problem is when you start out, there's just that many things to try and learn. Like you say, you've got to sort of. I do a lot of marketing myself, but I don't do any of the accounting myself, because there's that many things to remember with accounting. And if you get it wrong, you can end up in trouble, and it's just not worth it. Do you know what I mean? So I've got an accountant, and I just pass everything his way.
Exactly.
And I'd probably
utilize your skills.
I'd probably tell everyone that just get rid of your accounting, because it's an absolute minefield, and there's so many different rules coming out all the time that it's just so hard to keep on top of it. It's like when you start employing people, pass your HR out as well, because to keep on top of the rules and regulations with that would be another full-time job. You better just outsource and getting rid of it. So, right, okay, I've got a question for you now, Gail. So, asking roles coming. So, what roles have you got coming up, Gail? And what is your involvement with the vets?
So if you want to know any jobs that GA Recruitment are recruiting for, you can check out my GA Recruitment Limited on LinkedIn. I post all the jobs on there. So that's a list of current ones that I'm recruiting for at the moment. But I am heavily working with the veterans and recruiting for veterans in various sectors. So I'm looking for IT engineers, I'm looking for fire engineers, and I'm looking for various engineering roles for the veterans. And it's possibly, actually, I've got some HGV driving work for the veterans coming as well. So with the work that I've been doing over the past couple of months, alongside with the Green Task Force, obviously it's been put out there and being recognised as the veterans recruiter. So I've been open to a pool of veterans, and obviously the work now is coming in for that. So there's loads of different job roles coming up towards the end of the year and moving into next year, which is great. Which is great for, obviously, the veteran community.
Yeah.
It gives them a little bit of hope. So, yeah.
So AD, while you're just watching us, could you get Gail's link to her GA recruitment and put it in the comments?
Yes, certainly.
For everyone to jump on and sort
No problem. Yeah, I can do
they've
that.
got access to that. I've just put my LinkedIn profile in the comments.
Yeah.
Just a link to the your website, Gail. Yes.
No, if you do my LinkedIn GA Recruitment Limited one.
Okay.
There should be a link on that. Yeah, you could probably find it. So yeah, unless there's any other questions or anything pending.
Yeah, there's a few more, Gail. Yeah. So
okay.
What's a marquee? Yeah. So it's just a big tent. Marquee is just a posh word for a temporary structure. It's a huge tent.
Yes. Party place.
I've just put in the comments the link to the Facebook group as well. If anyone wants to join, brilliant. I'll accept you straight away. Right. So there's some more. Are you looking for people to sign up for franchises? Yes, I am looking for people to sign up for franchises. We have territories available all over the UK, really. And the way that it works is you pay an initial franchise fee. We teach you how to run a marquee hire company, and then you start trading. We support you through the lifetime of the franchise agreement, and you give us 6% of your turnover as a monthly service fee. So that's how it works. If you want to talk to me about that in sort of greater detail, then we can have that chat away from this, because it's pretty complex and it would take us. Okay, so what would you say to employment who are hesitant about employing veterans or service? I'd say give your head a wobble, because people who leave the armed forces are the most loyal people. And you know, if you look at the likes of Amazon and the size of that business, you know, they're the biggest business in the world, pretty much, aren't they? You know, they're just growing all the time. You see these fulfillment centers, and they are taking veterans on constantly. They're their preferred sort of employee. And, you know, there's got to be a reason behind that. Jeff Bezos isn't an idiot, is he? Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't make that sort of huge business decision to base his business around veterans and service leavers. I mean, the only thing is with service leavers is, you know, there are some sort of mental health issues going on, aren't there, when you leave the forces? If you've been to, I haven't been into any war zones or anything like that. You know, I did go to the arse end of the Second Gulf War, but it was only for relief work and stuff like that. We weren't sort of I haven't been in any heavy combat. So I believe that resettlement should be done on a case-by-case basis, just to put, you know, into context. If someone's leaving the army and they've been on 3 tours of Afghanistan and 2 of Iraq, and they're on the same sort of course of me, who's done 6 years on a warship floating around Brazil and going on the piss everywhere, it's not like for like. It's not apple for apple, is it? Yeah. So the resettlement needs shaken up in some way and saying, right, well, that guy needs a bit more sort of support. than that guy, because, or that girl needs a bit more support than this guy, whoever it is. They should look at the service and the tours and everything else and the potential pitfalls that they might have when they leave, and I know it's going to be a bit more of a task, and it's probably down to money, let's face it. But
everything it always is,
in my
but maybe it's the way
opinion.
forward. Yeah, maybe it's the way forward somehow.
So yeah, if anybody's if you look at my LinkedIn profile, right, it says helping ex-service personnel and others take charge of their own earnings to set up their own marquee hire business. And my preferred ideal client would be someone leaving the military, because I know what military people are made of, and they're the type of people that I would want to buy a business off me and have a business relationship with me for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So yeah.
I will add into that, Iain, as well. I mean, I've been working in recruitment for the past 20 years, and the people the job retention, the staff that stay in the jobs, the most reliable, working with people is an up and down business. It's the ex-service people that I've done the statistics, I can vouch for that. They stay in the jobs the longest. They do, it's one of those. So I can.
But as well, on a day-to-day basis, doing this sort of stuff that I do in my spare time with resettlement. If someone messages me and says I'm from X regiment or a RAF, or I love what you're doing, I spend time and get the phone number and ring them up and have a chat with them. I did it with AD when, as soon as he messaged me, I was like, yeah, here's my number, let's have a chat, because we've all been through the same thing to some extent. We've all been through basic training, we've all been on a ship, we've all been in a on a base or whatever, on a barracks. So we all know the score, like, and it's nice to hear everyone's different story of what they've done and where they've been, and the people. I could sit and listen to ex-military stories all day for the rest of my life. I would, because that's what I'm interested in. So who is my role model? That's quite a hard question to
that is a hard one.
Well, my role model from being a child was Liam and Noel Gallagher, as you can probably tell. And the reason is, right, that they're just two council estate guys like myself, and they just went out there and did it. Do you know what I mean? And they're not probably the cleverest guys, but they worked hard for it. So they are my childhood role models. Who are my business role models? Well, there's a guy who's I don't know whether you know him, Mike Winnett. Do you know who he is? No. He's on LinkedIn. Well, he's my business mentor now. He's in Warrington, but they started a business in 2015, him and this other guy called Iain Darlington, and they sold it in 2017 for $11 million US. Oh, nice. So I deal with those guys. They do my video marketing, but yeah, they are a bit of a role model because I kind of respect what they've done in business
that's really
in a pretty short period of time. So those two guys as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Andrew Steele's just asked why Everton called the Toffee Men.
Oh, right. Why are Everton called the Toffee Men? Because in the olden days.
That's hilarious.
Do you really know or not? Does he know? No. Right. So they used to have there's a sweet called Everton Mints. I don't know whether you've seen them. And they used to have like a lady walk around the stands before the game and at half time, throwing Everton Mints into the crowd. So that's why they're called the Toffees. Not that I support them, but I do know why.
There we go. A little bit of nostalgia there. Right. So okay. I think that's that's enough questions on sort of the business side. Are we happy to wrap this up and thank Iain for coming on the show? Yeah.
Well, Paul's asked another couple of questions, but if you want to message me about those, Paul, I'll just answer them on separately if you want me. It's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, well, thanks ever so much, Iain. Absolutely brilliant. She'll definitely check out those Facebook pages and I shall join them too. And yes, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Thank
Same
you.
time next week, yeah.
Same time next week. Awesome.
See you later.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye
See you
bye.
later. Bye-bye. Right, so I'll let everybody.
Speak to you Friday morning, Gail.
Pardon?
I'll speak to you Friday morning.
Perfect. That'd be great. All right, take care. Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.